That's what I'm saying, man. Like, why does California get all the cool stuff? They don't even have water. Like, make an Arkansas soda or something. Give us a shot. Like, I don't know, we got soybeans, corn. Like, California doesn't even have raspberries. They're on fire. They're probably all burnt. All the vineyards, grapes. That's it. Oh, God. I don't know, after that, I'm going to have to cool down. Where's my water? With your host, Pop the Top. 2018 was a much different time from now. But back then, Coca-Cola tried their hand at the craft soda industry with their two new flavors, one based on different states, and tried to, market it a little locally. They called it California Raspberry and Georgia Peach. Granted, I've never been to either of those places, but I managed to get my hands on one of the two at KC, Missouri's KC Soda Company. But first, before we get to the taste test, it's time for a history lesson. So, in 2018, Coke decided they want to give their hand at the craft soda industry. Now, in 2006, they released this new thing called Mexican Coke down in Mexico, and it was so good, they decided to import it into the Americas, and people loved it just as much. And because of that, they thought, hey, maybe this craft soda thing is pretty good. It's a good idea. And it was such a good idea that the Coke research and development team got 9,500 participants to taste test 30 flavors, and at the top two were raspberry and peach. Now, these new flavors would be the first new flavors since the vanilla in 2002. So this was a pretty big deal. And with this new craft soda approach, Coca-Cola needed a bit of a foundation of sorts. Everybody already knew them, but craft sodas, they gotta have a story. So they went back 132 years ago when Dr. John S. Pemberton brought the first syrup of Coca-Cola to a pharmacy down the street from him. The owner of the pharmacy thought it was really good, extremely good in fact, and he sold the syrup in a glass for 5 cents a piece. And each glass was made by hand, stirring it with a spoon. It wasn't until 1932 when they decided to introduce the soda fountain, and that's when sodas really took off, especially Coke. But during that time, people got a little too excited at soda shops, and they decided to experiment with their flavors. Some mixing, syrups here and there with the Coke, where it wasn't just Coke anymore. We had peach Coke, we had maple syrup Coke. Peach was incredibly popular in the South, and in the North, maple syrup was their best. And just like history, it repeats itself. And that's when they knew, for a fact, that peach and raspberry were definitely the ones to go with. As far as advertising goes, they wanted to go even further with the grassroots approach. And they decided to get local artists from the states of California and Georgia, especially Atlanta, to do art, like murals, any sort of art that they felt like doing to advertise these pieces. And once that art was created, it was up to the artists to advertise it themselves rather than Coke. With this strategy, it got it to where Coke didn't even have to spend a dime on advertising, and it was the word of mouth approach, just like the 1800s would have done the same. Wow, all this history talk's got me a little parched. How about we cure that with a taste test? All right, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, the taste test. Now, for a quick disclaimer, this thing expires on August 2020, so it's a little past that. So this thing is either going to be really good or really bad, especially since it was made 2 years ago today. So let's give it a taste. Oh. Ooh. So this is not normal Coke. Usually when they do Coke flavors, they do, maybe a 50-40 kind of mix where you can kind of taste what's there, but not really. It's just Coke except slightly different. This is not that at all. No, this is more or less just a raspberry Coca-Cola, capital R raspberry Coca-Cola. I would say this would be about a 70-30 split where you got like 70% raspberry and 30% Coke. The Coke is still there. It's standing, all tall and mighty. but the raspberry champions over it just by a little bit. And I love that. That's so much better. Like, the peach was about the same, and this is exactly why people like craft soda so much. It has the flavor that is on the label. Like, you pay so much for it, then you better get what you're paying for, or else it's just a waste of time. You never trust this small company ever again. And Coke has nailed that perfectly. The research they've done has all paid off. I like it a lot. And I can say the same for the peach. I've done a written review about it before in my Instagram, and I love this pear. I love it, I love it, I love it. The reason I had to sip it so many times is because on that first sip, I was almost in denial. I was feeling like this tastes like cough syrup, this tastes like the pharmacy story I just told 2 seconds ago. But then I took another sip, and I was like, huh. That's something else. That second taste is what I just described right there. Like, any other sip past that, it just gets better and better with every sip. I think I'm gonna give this one a solid... should I give it a 10? Like, what even is a 10? Have I encountered a 10? Is this the 10? Shoot. I'm gonna say it. 10 out of 10. It's good. And yeah, that's all we got time for today. Tune in next week for the next Fizzy review. Cheers.